Hello, everyone, and welcome to MSUFCU's seminar series. We appreciate you all joining us this evening. We're excited that you're here with us. These events were created with you in mind, with the intention of offering financial education on a number of relatable topics to help expand your knowledge of finances. Each of our events will be hosted by a member of our financial education department or by one of our wonderful community partners like tonight. We have a number of diverse presentations planned for you this year, and you can explore and register for those by visiting us at msufcu.org/events. Just as a quick reminder, tonight's event is being recorded, and you can rewatch or share the presentations by going to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/msufcu, and then selecting the seminar series from the playlist options. For tonight, we are going to be taking your questions throughout the webinar. So you can go ahead and use the Q&A function to submit those questions, and we'll be pausing intermittently to answer those. But if you have any technology issues, just go ahead and chat me directly. Um, and then I have somebody reaching out to me in chat. I'll get to you in just a second, sir. But yes, if you have any other technology issues, just go ahead and reach out to me. I'll try to help you through those as best as I can. So tonight we have a wonderful guest joining us to help us dive deeper into the psychology of money and what that all means. Allow me to introduce Caitlin Falensky, a financial advisor with the Banashevsky-Falensky Group of Oppenheimer & Co. I'll pass it over to you to tell our audience a little bit more about yourself, Caitlin, and then you can lead right into our presentation tonight.
All right, Trees, thank you so much for having me. Before I jump in, if participants, attendees, please have a pen and paper in front of you. We have a quick exercise in the beginning, so ideally, if you have something to write on, that would be best. But yes, my name is Caitlin Falensky. I'm with the firm Oppenheimer and Company, and I really value the importance of getting to know yourself, your personality, and how that can interconnect and relate with your finances. Because especially with finances, there's no cookie cutter approach, there's no one size fits all. The more customized and appropriate it can be for your personality, the more enjoyable it can be, the more successful it can be, and just the process can be more comfortable for everyone. So hopefully you took the personality test already and you have your four-letter code. That is going to then help you through tonight's class. I will have a few slides. They are very word heavy. Please don't feel like you have to take notes on every item. If you reach out to me afterwards, and Therese will help with that, I can send you your custom personality profile after the fact as well via email. That's all you would receive from me. You won't get spammed from me with other things, but that might be a little bit better than trying to write down every single word. But I'll kind of walk you through the slides as well. So, Therese, any questions or do you want me to jump in?
Nope, it looks like we are good to go for now.
All right, perfect. So I'd like to start this class. I've done it in the past, and I'd like to start with a little exercise. And what I'd like you to do is write down your name. It's just a simple thing. It's probably easy. You don't even think about it. The quality's probably good. It's quick. You just get it done. Now, write your name with your other hand. You're probably might be hard. I mean, there's some people that can do both hands equally, so that's not fair. That's not directed for you guys. But for the most part, when you're using your non-dominant hand, it's harder. You have to concentrate more. It takes you longer, and its quality is probably not as good. So that's an example of using your personality for your strengths. You want to use your dominant hand in life. So it's how you process things, it's how you receive things. That's what you want to focus on. Hopefully, you can learn a little bit about yourself tonight and those innate traits, and then it'll take you down that path of how you can properly manage your finances according to your inner thoughts and processes. All right. So now we're going to jump into your four-letter code. So this is where the slides get a little heavy, but I'll explain how you can kind of read them. So the first slide is going to be the first letter. So you're either an I or an E, which is an introvert or an extrovert. One thing that can be very misleading is when people hear extrovert, they think of social, that you're chatty, you like being around people, and that's really all it is. But that's really not the case. An extrovert is better kind of at group work or receive energy from other people, where introverts lose energy when they're working with other people. So there's some misconceptions with those, but we're going to dig into that now. So if you have the letter I, you're going to be on the left hand of the slide. Extrovert is on the right hand. There we go. So now the first section is going to be how you direct your attention. In some of these initial slides, it's going to be more about the personality basics, and then we dig into finances from there, just so you know. So the first box will be how you direct your attention. I don't like reading to people on the slide, so please feel free to read that yourself. And now the next one, still it's going to be introvert or extrovert, is going to be your preferred working environment. The next will be if you tend to be more of a specialist or generalist. The next will be how you respond to things. And this next option is also how you respond, a different viewpoint. Next will be your life motto. And the last one on this slide is your communication preference. So this might be a good place to pause. There's 4 slides. This is the first of 4 that are this heavy. So, Therese, do we have any questions yet, or anybody need
Nope,
any?
I think everyone's keeping up. Yep, no questions yet.
All right, perfect. So the next slide is sensor versus intuitive. So this is your second letter, which is either S or N for intuitive. The first boxes are going to be whether you tend to be more observant or big picture oriented. Easy. The next section is mental processing. Next will be your focus. Then your work. And then these next 3 sections are going to be your tendencies. So I'll put them all on so you can see them all. Hopefully, as you read these, things are clicking, it makes sense, and I hope you enjoyed kind of taking the test and getting to know a little bit more about your personality. The next slide is thinker or feeler, so T or F. The first section is about decision making. Next will be how you define fairness. Next is how you are regarded, or maybe perspective, how you may have be seen. Next is about decisions. And last is just a gender specificity. Now, none of these should be seen as flaws or negatives. I mean, I will admit I am a thinker. So, yeah, sometimes I can be a cold person, but I'm also female. So, please, I hope, please don't take offense or think too deep into these. There's no right or wrong answer. And then the last of the heavy slides is the judger versus perceiver, which is J or P. First section is going to be your natural drive. Next will be misconceptions. The next two are your preferences. Now, this will be another life motto. Your tendencies. Your stressors. And then comfort or constraints. Any questions, Therese? Oh, sorry, you're muted.
Yep, sorry. Nope, nothing yet.
Okay, perfect. So, getting to know your personality can benefit all areas of your life. Instead of trying to avoid certain aspects or minimize certain areas of your personality, you'd rather emphasize it, focus on it, use it to your strength. So, if you do so, you can make better decisions, you can communicate more effectively, you can manage and prevent stress, set and achieve goals, build stronger relationships, and focus your career plans. So now the next section is going to be your temperament patterns. So this is where we dig in a little bit deeper into the four-letter code. So there's four different temperament patterns, and to find yours, you need to look first at your second letter in your code. So if you have an S for sensor, then you want to look to the fourth letter, which would be J or P. If your second letter is N for intuitive, then you want to look to your third letter, T or F. So that's how you're going to find your temperament pattern on this slide is based on that two-letter code. So S in the fourth letter or N in the third letter. And then I'll put each of them on here. It's going to be protector, planner, player, and pleaser. All right. Now the next section is your dominant traits. This one's going to be a little bit harder to find on the slide because there's multiple. So it's going to be sensor, thinker, feeler, or intuitive. The four-letter codes are going to be marked in each box. So you're just going to have to find which one is yours, but then it has your motto and how you view money. So that really provides the foundation for your personality in general. Yes, we dig into a little bit of how you view money and the comfort or constraints of budgeting, but this is really the broad level, big picture of your personality traits and just different aspects of life with them. So now we want to narrow in on the financial focus of them. So this looks at, in particular, the J or the P in your code. But the first will be your preference on managing finances. Next will be how you make financial decisions. And then lastly is if you like to plan or not. So now that you have this information, you can now take it one step further to try to focus on not only your personality traits, but what we call your money personality and how to master those traits. And what we always recommend is you need to know and affirm who you are with regard to money. So, some people tend to make an excuse for themselves or say, oh, I can't do this because of this. But instead of shying away from things or making excuses, it's truly knowing this is my personality, this is how I operate, and this is how I can be successful. We always say you need to accept and approve of who you are. You should also always appreciate your interests, values, skills, and natural talents. Because similar to writing your name in the beginning, that's your innate talent, your natural talent. And it's kind of the opposite of like a fad diet. You can do anything maybe for a few days, but it's not going to be successful in the long run. You need to really enjoy the process, understand the process, and want to be invested in it. So by focusing on how your brain operates and how you mentally receive and process things, the better. And lastly, it's great to think that your personality is your biggest and greatest asset and your greatest energy resource. So by focusing on that, being proud of who you are, knowing who you are, it's really going to make a difference through the financial planning process. And then lastly, I usually like to close with 3 financial contentment tips. And I think it's always important to focus on being content, which to me, I define it as, appreciating what you have, being happy with what you have. Yes, you should have goals and dreams and other things to work towards, but not always pining for, the grass is greener elsewhere, but to have contentment. And so, in financial terms and tips, I usually recommend, that money is not recyclable and it cannot be in 2 places at once. No one is going to have infinite amounts of money. So it's always spending and focusing on what matters most to you. I always recommend also to make a distinction between needs, wants, and desires. And whenever I do a financial plan with individuals, that's a big focus on differentiating and divvying up those different buckets of needs, wants, desires. And then lastly, orient your life around the fulfillment of the material things that matter most to you. And we call this the golden rule of not keeping up with the Joneses, not getting caught up in social media or other avenues of spending. Spending is almost too easy nowadays with Venmo and credit cards and Apple Pay. But it's really focusing on who you are, what you enjoy, and how you want to spend your money because your money should be spent on those valuable things for you. And that's really the majority of the information. If there's any questions or I can jump back to anything, I know it's a lot of information.
Yeah, I'll give everyone a couple minutes to just kind of, if they do have any questions to submit. We did have one come through, and I noticed, like when I took the test also, it added that fifth letter, the T, or the A. Can you
Yes.
explain a little bit more of how those play into this as well?
Yeah, let me pull that up. I might have a slide. Yeah, and is that it's like the assertive or turbulent? Does
Yeah,
that ring a bell? Yeah, let me see. Yeah, so that's a new fifth dimension for these types of tests.
yeah.
Again, notes. So assertive, typically the individuals are self-assured, even-tempered, and resistant to stress. They tend to be more relaxed, confident, and less likely to worry. I'm definitely not assertive.
Hmm.
Turbulent is you're more self-conscious, sensitive to stress, and prone to experiencing a wide range of motions.
Yep, that was me as well. So that's what I wondered about when I saw that fifth letter come up when after I took the test.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, we just yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
you're often described as a perfectionist, success-driven, and more likely to experience anxiety or self-doubt.
Okay, yep, that fits.
Sounds fun, right?
No, it's good. It's good to really like think about these things and and maybe you haven't thought about them before, but now you're realizing, okay, this does fit. And it's okay. I can actually still be successful. I just need to know these factors about myself and how to, control those. So yes.
Exactly.
We had another question come through about if you can share the distinction between wants and desires, or
Great
and
question.
that.
So wants might be reasonable discretionary spending. So, and again, everyone is going to be different on how they prioritize things. But I would categorize a want as going out to eat or getting takeout instead of eating from home. Maybe it's going to a gym, having a gym membership. A desire is going to be a want that's kind of an extra level of, maybe you're going to a steakhouse instead of a Coney Island if you're going out to dinner. There's an added level typically of expense and then maybe of luxury as well, or it's more one-offs. Maybe it's a big travel that you might do once every couple years versus a weekend up north that you might do more frequently.
Okay. That makes sense. We had another good question just pop through. As a financial professional, how do you handle a couple where personality traits are almost exactly opposite?
Yes, so the first time I did this class was back 8 to 10 years ago, and I had exactly that. It was actually for women only to attend the class, and her husband was thrilled that she wanted to attend it because they kind of butted heads with their finances. She was a spender, he was frugal. She didn't want to count things, he did. So sometimes my job is a little bit of a counselor of trying to get them to meet in the middle, but also appreciating their different personalities. Of she's not going to want to see the spreadsheet and the bullet lists and the detailed numbers and lists. He is going to want to crunch that. So I'm kind of that mediator. Well, I create a lot of those spreadsheets. I assist with that, but then I give her just the big picture items. So it's kind of balancing the two, and typically I find that it works really well where we're not forcing one to join the other, but to keep them both in tune, but on the level that they want to receive the information.
Very good. Yes. Because yeah, I'm sure that does come up quite often, usually opposites attract, right? So I'm sure
Yeah.
that is true with partnerships.
Mhm.
Okay, let's see this next question here. Some of the questions were more difficult to choose the best answer. And in looking at my code compared to the other answers presented, can you have some E and I in your personality?
Absolutely. And I think with the 16 personalities, they might give you a printout where they give you a percentage of, like, I'm an ISTJ, and I mean a lot of mine I'm like 99% J. So I think I'm a very extreme person, but there's some people that may be 55-45. That's very normal. They tend to say whatever you are in the majority of, you tend towards that letter more often, but you absolutely can have some in between. And that's where I like digging into these details, because when you see the other options, you might think like, ooh, I actually lean towards this letter instead. And that's perfectly normal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was noticing about my results because they were I was kind of like 60-30 on a lot of them. And so, I mean, yes, I have kind of all of these traits wrapped up.
Hmm.
And then the last two I had like almost right down the middle. So
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that normal or is that like, am I
It is.
normal? No. Let's see. Someone else said, I'm also ISTJ. Thanks for sharing your personality type. Oh, that was good. They wanted to know more about you. So that's always good to know. Well, good. All right. Well, there was no other questions that came through, but I did post in the chat. If you do want to email Caitlin your four-letter code, she can send you kind of just a customized profile that just applies to your specific code. So go ahead and grab that email address out of the chat if you'd like. I also wanted to let you know that Caitlin is coming back with us in July to present on Financially Fit Female. So that will be another awesome. I'm just going to pull up the. Or do you want to talk about, since you're here, you can talk about it a little bit more and give us a summary of what that session will be
Sure.
about.
Yes, so no offense to the men on this presentation, and thank you for attending, but the July one is Financially Fit Females, and it focuses on, statistically speaking, women live longer, earn less, and take more time off of work to care for elderly parents and or children. So all three of those statistics are detractors to our financial plan. So it's focused on just working with women to realize, their dynamic and their plan and how we can still have a successful, strong, enjoyable career as well as retirement years with their finances. So men are still allowed to attend. I've done it for both. I don't mean to not include you, but I like alliteration. So financially fit females works out with that.
Yes, definitely. Yes, I can't wait to host that one and also listen in and get a whole bunch of good information from you. One of our audience members asked me what my four-letter code is, and yes, I'll be happy to share that. I'm a ISFPT.
Mm.
So, yes. And we had somebody else that just sent their thanks and that it was very interesting. And she said it explains why I can try a new venture and my hubs is more standoffish. So, yeah, that's kind of cool if if partners came into the session and both were able to kind of learn a little bit more about their personality traits and how that plays into how they interact with their financial life as well. So awesome. Well, cool. I think that kind of wraps it up for tonight then. So thank you so much for being with us, Caitlin, and we can't wait to have you back in July. And hopefully this is the beginning of a great partnership with you and, that we can have you back to host some other cool events. But yes, I think everyone got a lot out of this and, yeah, just knowing that four-letter code and really, yes, in with finances, but also in all parts of life, this can help us, right? So that's awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. And once again, if you have any questions for Caitlin or myself, reach out to me. You guys all have my email address from the Zoom. If you didn't catch Caitlin's email address in the chat, I can send that to you as well. So just go ahead and feel free to reach out to me, and we will see you back at another seminar series event soon. Thanks again, Caitlin.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone. Have a good night.